But just briefly before we get into that, I just wanted to mention what you mentioned to me about Solomon Nelson dropping another video about, oh, my response to Mike Israetel and Lane Norton. Interesting. So I didn't put any video out. I don't plan to put any video out. I have generally followed along. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is such a dumb waste of time. But like, I mean, literally everybody in the fitness industry is aware of it, which is interesting. I saw Bro Science Life just did a video on Mike Israetel, which was funny. So it's out there. I don't know your thoughts on it. To me, I probably it just would have blown over faster if Mike just didn't comment on it. Kind of like I think Jeff Schofield made the reference to um, who's like the one of the biggest fitness
Was it
guys.
Andrew Huberman and
No,
his
no.
whole
Oh, Jeff
debacle? And
Cavalier.
he,
How?
oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Well, Andrew Huberman, I think, just didn't address it. Jeff Cavalier with the fake weights didn't address it. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, it probably would have just been better to just let it go.
absolutely.
But yeah, the whole thing is just kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it's as I was talking to you previously, it's I commented on it very quickly because I saw the video and then me and Mike Chalice, we do the improvement season, we're recording live. So then it came up and just addressed our very quick thoughts on it without the whole aftermath of the video with Milo, the draft is it's a
Oh
draft, it's not
yeah,
a draft, and then it just became this whole
that's
complete
so
mess. And it's
crazy.
just like you said, Mike should have never even it like his typical stance, I think, is when it's like a I don't know, a video discussing him that's to some extent negative. He just doesn't watch it and doesn't address it. So like any Greg Doucette video where Greg's just essentially bullied Mike effectively through like a 10-minute video. He just doesn't even watch it or address it, which I think is probably important for his mental health. So I don't know what led to him wanting to address this. If it was like a sense of, I don't know, it's his PhD. Maybe there's a bit of ego. I
Yeah,
don't know. People have thoughts on it, but yeah, it's kept YouTube busy for like the last, I don't know how long it's been now. Has it been like a month? I don't know. There's
basically,
still
yeah.
videos coming out like every few days about it.
Yeah, yeah. My original thought when like the first video dropped and everybody was, freaking out about it, like the Solomon Nelson video. My thought as somebody who has a doctoral degree was like, okay, this is low quality work, but like it was just not much of a thing to me because as other people who I think have, like Helms and other people have mentioned, like it's not what you should be basing your interpretation of his current information on anyway. And you're talking about somebody who was like 26 years old, probably trying to wrap up a degree. Again, a PhD is a big deal, but in my mind, I was like, okay, I mean, it just is what it is. Like it just wasn't that much of a factor. But again, I'm not sitting in a class learning from Mike Israetel. He's a YouTuber to me, right? So I just thought people were making way too big of a deal out of it. But then, yes, he kind of dug himself a hole there with, the reactions and everything. So I will also say, while I won't name any names, I do find it interesting. I'm very big on how you interact with people live is generally like how you should speak about them like off camera and whatnot. And I will say I can think of two specific current or former RP employees who have been quite negative towards Mike, like off air and whatnot, but then like super defending him in this situation. And I just, again, that does make me kind of think like, okay, is this like a clout-based thing then? Is this like, okay, this person's signing my checks, but off air, I'm going to say these different things. And that I think is unfortunate that I saw even more so with this kind of incident. But that would be my only additional commentary there.
Yeah, it's really weird when people are because the I think there's a book that's titled something along the lines of like all you see is all there is, or like if you only see that person and their social media presence, that's what you know them as. And people talk about that like you meet someone in real life and they're nothing like their social
Hmm.
media personality. Like this is weird.
Yeah.
So as a consumer of information, or even on this topic, like you're just following your favorite influencers' takes on it and taking their word for it. Whereas obviously there's people on the inside that maybe know more, but you don't know it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird thing. And like I have a personal relationship with Mike because he was on the podcast so
Many
much
times. Yeah.
back
Yeah.
years ago, and basically as he exploded, I had much less to do with Mike, and
Yeah.
that was kind of an unfortunate consequence. He had just not the time. But then I also just didn't consume all his content then. So I'm a little bit out of the loop of some of the more recent stuff that I think he gets critiqued more in his more recent work than the
Yeah.
later like past work, apart from the PhD of the dissertation, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, it it just makes it's funny just as a complete kind of I mean it's not a tangent, but it's on this. But obviously, have you Mike spoke about the fact that he's like bigger and stronger than Mike Mensa, which the number of like takes on that I've seen. But
Yeah.
everyone like uses the photo of Mike when he did his like first bodybuilding
I
show to
know.
compare
Yeah.
versus Mike Mensa at like peak, and I'm just like cherry picking is rife in this, so
That stuff
I
is
don't get
so crazy to
involved
me
because it's not
because
worth my mental health.
yeah, it's bad because it's very obviously done intentional, and I'm not like a Mike Israetel defender, though I will say all of my interactions with Mike have been positive, both on the podcast and the one time in person. So I've had nothing but positive experiences with him. Um, but again, I'm not like some huge Mike Israetel defender. I've had some disagreements with just information he's put out and whatnot. But when people are using a 10-year-old video or picture or something like that and saying like, oh, like comparing that to Mike. First of all, he literally does have more muscle mass and strength than Mike Mentzer, right? So even though as a bodybuilder he would not compare favorably due to the genetics insertions and all that stuff like that, he is heavier and leaner and stronger. So that's just a factual statement. And then people will, like you've seen that video of him doing 245 for two on bench press, like failing, but it's like
Was he
it's
like
like
injured or like post
it was
surgery
like the
or
end of a yeah, post surgery, end of a workout, and people are like, "Oh my God, like he's so weak because of his training, and he trains so poorly. This is what happens. You just end up being weak." I'm like, guys, and everybody know, many people know that he did overhead press strict 275 for what 6 to 8 reps a decade ago. Like he's obviously an incredibly strong individual, and you're like, "Oh, well, let me just find this one video," and it's so stupid. It's just that kind of stuff annoys me because again, not just cherry picking, but like intentionally misleading.
that's exactly it. And the more of that sort of content I consume where it is just people reporting on it, it is just more of that sort of thing where they are just intentionally leaving out information to make someone look a certain way. And similar to you, Mike, Dave, like I much prefer just to focus on like the facts, not on just like hearsay and kind of opinion based on the whole thing. But yeah, like I said, I dipped my toe in the situation and quickly dipped it out because I was
Yeah.
just like, this is not something I want to get involved with. Clearly, my perspective is not one that people are appreciating. So I'm,
Sure.
yeah, it's like you've said, the time I've spent with Mike, he's only ever been a really, really great person and very genuine and very much like he is on camera versus off camera. And my initial statement on this whole thing before anything more came out than that first video, I was like, this video will be used as fuel for people that dislike Mike because it's fair enough. You might dislike him, you might not like some of his takes, and it will be used as fuel to the fire for people that already appreciate Mike, who he is, the work that he's done. They won't really think too much of it, and it will kind of go there. And it might sway a few in the middle, maybe for whatever reason. But I think the vast majority, I can say this at least, and I think it's probably a fairly factual statement of videos that are reporting on it are literally just using Mike's name for like
For
clout
sure.
and for views and engagement. And I think it's quite obvious when it is done that way, though. But that's obvious to me versus the general onlooker probably doesn't know.
Sure, sure. Cool. So let's get into some bodybuilding stuff.